The city of Birmingham pretty much turned into a war zone last night and overnight through the early hours during and after the Aston Villa Maccabi Tel Aviv football match. Now, many people expected this, including the police, which is why they had a Section 60 authorization, which I'll explain later in this video. But I don't think a lot of people expected the sheer scale of madness that was going on. And indeed, some people were denying it. Some people were saying that there were no fireworks being let off, but there's video footage I'll show you in just a moment. First of all, please do subscribe to the channel. We are rocketing towards 900,000 and then ultimately 1 million subscribers is my goal. Thank you so much. So let's take a look at this. So there's a few videos here, some of which by Ahmed Yaqub, who I understand is currently before the courts for allegations of money laundering. And you might have recognized him when he was running for MP some time ago. But recent videos show him saying that there were protesters coming from all around the UK. And another highly questionable video here, which in one sense, you might say is correct information. Now, I'll tell you what he was about to say, and then I'll show you what he says, but I'll give you my views on it beforehand. Now, first of all, if you had a cricket bat or a baseball bat in the back of your car and you are not a sporting person, you never go to and from sporting events, that is likely to be considered an offensive weapon. Now, the suggestion here is correct in that if you have that in the back of your car and you don't have any other sporting memorabilia with you or equipment with you, and you can't demonstrate that you're going to or from a game, then it's likely to be considered an offensive weapon. But some have suggested that this is leading people or guiding people to have an excuse to have this bat in your car. Let's have a listen to this.
You do have a baseball bat, for example, for a sporting event, then make sure it is clear and you have other equipment with it as well. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to show that you have a reasonable excuse to have this bat.
Now, it's far simpler than that. If you were going to a baseball match or cricket match or any other kind of match that you've got anything in your car that resembles or could be used as a weapon, you can prove that you were going there. You'll be a member of the club, it'll be on at a regular interval, or it would be scheduled for that particular time, and you can show that you were on the way there or on the way back. That will be relatively easy to prove.
Always.
It wouldn't be the case that you should have to rely on, well, I've got the glove and I've got the bag and other things and balls and stuff in the car as well. Therefore, it's definitely a legitimate reason to have this bat in the back of the car. I do archery sometimes, and I have a bow, which is a fairly highly powered weapon by all accounts. But obviously, if I'm going to or from archery, that's clear because I'm going to the club. But otherwise, it won't be in the car because it's, in any other sense, it is a weapon. So a lot of people have criticized that video. And the reason I bring that up is because he's been fairly vocal about the protests in this area. And a lot of people have criticized it. Now, for those, and there are other videos about this as well, again, some people have denied that fireworks were being let off last night and through the night. But again, it's absolutely true. And the others were protesting here. This is highly questionable as well. Have a watch of this.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir! Takbir!
Now, this is why the police thought it necessary to have a Section 60 authorization in the area. And you can find these out on the website here. West Midlands Police Section 60 authorizations. These are under the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994, where it gives power to the police officers. It's quite important. I think they should be used more liberally than it is now. A lot of people will criticize me for that, but I'll explain why I say that in just a moment. But it gives the police the powers to stop and search people and vehicles for dangerous instruments, offensive weapons, without any suspicion. And that is an important step here because, like many other things, if they need reasonable suspicion and they search and they don't have that, or they can't demonstrate they had the suspicion, then that might be an unlawful search. Therefore, anything they find may be excluded from any kind of evidence. And so people might get away with certain things where otherwise they might be up to no good. But with this Section 60 authorization in place, and as it was, as you can see from this map and this page here. It was in place pretty much across the whole of the centre of Birmingham, covering across to Aston, to Perry Bar, obviously Brindley Place and all these sorts of areas. Police said that they'll be using Section 60 powers in parts of Birmingham yesterday as part of the operation to keep people safe. But you can see from the videos that this is no blame, this is no criticism of the police, but you can see what the police were up against. Literally crowds and crowds, a mob, if you will, firing fireworks. This is one of the reasons many people say we should ban fireworks. Completely separate discussion. I think they should be limited to organised events, people with a licence and things like that, rather than just available really to buy to almost everybody. There are restrictions. Look those up before you go buy. But the police said here, these allow them to stop and search people without needing reasonable grounds, powers exercised to safeguard the community, etc. Chief Superintendent Tom Joyce said, our message to those from all communities in Birmingham is that we've listened and we will continue to engage with you. We remain committed to maintaining the city's reputation as a safe and welcoming place for everyone. Now, one of the criticisms of Maccabi's videos here from a couple of days ago, I won't find it now, but one of the criticisms of one of his videos a couple of days ago is that he was saying that the police are there to protect them. That is not really the case. The police are there to protect everybody and to keep the community safe. So for him to say that the police were there specifically to protect the protesters is frankly a little bit deluded, with all respect, because the police are there to protect the community at large. The police said here they've been working closely with partners, including Birmingham City Council, the football club, obviously Aston Villa Football Club, colleagues in emergency services. People can expect to see large number of uniformed officers, as well as police horses, dogs, drone units, etc. They really had to throw everything at this. Hundreds of officers drafted in. I think it was something like 700 officers drafted in from all over the place to try to keep people safe. Now, this, to speak freely, this was not the UK that I grew up in. This was not the sort of city of Birmingham that I have been used to frequenting all my life as I've been growing up. This level of disruption just for a football match is absolutely outrageous. And I think that we all owe the police a debt of gratitude to put themselves literally in the line of fire here. Literally, certainly when it comes to the fireworks, literally in the line of fire, trying to protect the public, and with their powers here, Section 60, to stop and search, doubtless they would have found lots of things that people shouldn't have. Now, there is an update, of course. This was at 25 minutes past 10 yesterday evening. 19 people have been charged with a range of offences after members of the public and their own officers were attacked with fireworks. The people charged, aged between 14 and 25, have been charged with offences including public order and assaulting police. Charges issued in response to disorder, etc. The sections, they say behaviour like this will not be tolerated and those responsible for disorder will be dealt with accordingly. Now, those, if found guilty, can face significant prison sentences, and rightly so. They then go on to say it's been updated at 20 minutes or 18 minutes past 11 last night. 11 people, all men, all boys, have now been arrested. A 63-year-old man arrested for racially aggravated public order offence. A 21-year-old for refusing to remove a face covering while a Section 60 order was in place. Again, some people complain about having to remove a face covering, but if a Section 60 order is in place, it is because the police expect this level of violence. They want to be able to deal with it. They want to be able to protect the public. They need to be able to search people without having to go through lots of sort of bureaucratical justification for searching people, because they need to do so in order to protect people. So this guy refusing to remove his face covering has also been arrested. And the list goes on. The chief superintendent went on to say that their officers are being supported by officers up and down the country. He said this has definitely been one of the most contentious and controversial matches they've hosted for some time, but the priority really clearly is public safety. It's about protecting the communities that live in and around Aston Villa, reassuring those communities who were potentially affected by the match last night. And finally, a very brief story for you. Many, many years ago, when I was a voluntary police officer, I was charged to assist in policing a football match at Villa Park in Birmingham, and we had to divert a lot of the vehicles because something had happened. There was some incident there. We had to divert lots of vehicles around away from the area. One of the drivers didn't take kindly to that. He wanted to come through the cordon. I stood there to prevent him doing so, so he just drove straight at me. But for the fact that I jumped out of the way at the very last minute, and I literally felt the vehicle brush past the coat that I was wearing, he almost ran me over. And so it turns out it was a hire car. One of my colleagues had got the registration plate, and obviously we went back to the company that hired the vehicle to him, and they gave us all of his details, and he was prosecuted for dangerous driving. And as it turns out, this driver was not from the UK. He'd visited the UK. I think it was an international match, and he had hired a vehicle and didn't take kindly to being redirected because he wanted to go that way. And he literally tried to get through me. But bit of a story for you there. But if you were wondering what the Section 60 powers were all about, that's what it is. That's what it's for. That's what the police use to try to protect the community. I'm very disappointed, to say the least, to see Birmingham fall to such a state that it was in last night, all through the night. It's quite disappointing, but let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.